Okay, today's the day when we're going to be taking the test on how to do time, how to count time, how to look at elapsed time, everything for chapter 19 that we've been working so hard on. So we're going to review a little bit, and then the very last slide is going to tell you to take the test. Don't try to take the test without review, because we want to get your brain juices flowing and remembering everything we've learned in this chapter, because we went through it pretty quickly. Okay, so today is May 18th, Monday, 2020. And the pages we're going to do, I think it's page 385 and 386. 386 really only has one question about time on it, so I didn't even put it down there, but I think you'll understand. Okay, it says calendar. It's not the calendar, it's time. But so this is our review page, concepts and skills. Draw the hands on the clock to show the time. Then write the time in the digital clock. So it says 15 minutes after 4. We're going to be reviewing this on the second to the last slide on this show too. That word after is really important. So let me show you what my advice is. I would say underline the word after. Whenever they're asking you to do something that's after a particular number, then that means that's the hour right now. So if it says after, I'm going to write 4. So I'm going to start right off writing 4 right there. I'm going to put my 2 dots for the colon. And then it says here that it's 15 minutes after 4. So after I figured out that it's 4 o'clock already, now I'm going to go back here and say, okay, I'm going to write the 15. So once I have my time in my digital clock, now I can go ahead and write the hands up there. So it's a little bit after 4. I'm going to make my shorthand. You know, this clock is very small. So it's somewhere in between 4 and 5. And then my long hand is the minute hand, and that one's going to go definitely pointing towards the 3. Okay, that would be an acceptable answer. So now look at this one. This one, instead of saying after, it says something else. It says 2. So we're going to underline 2. And when you say 2, that means it's not 6 o'clock yet, right? So that means I have to think about what number comes before 6 o'clock. 6, put the 1 away. What do I have? 5. So that means the hour is 5 o'clock. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to say quarter, but it's quarter to 6 o'clock. So that means 15 minutes before 6 o'clock. Now, ordinarily I have my big clock up here, but I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and use this cool big Judy clock. And I'm going to turn the hands so you can see it visually. Okay. So I'm making time go backwards. We're going back in time. There's 7 o'clock. Get stuck every once in a while. There we go. Okay, there's 6 o'clock, but as we said, it's not 6 o'clock yet. It's quarter to 6 o'clock. So I'm going to make it go 15 minutes before 6 o'clock. That's 1/4 of an hour. And then I know that the time is really 5:45. Okay, and I'm going to put this back up here. And then I'm going to draw. Now when I write the hour hand, it's going to be very close to pointing to 6 o'clock. Because it's almost 6 o'clock. And if you remember, I called this the danger zone because I'm up in this area right here. and it's really easy to get a little bit confused. So then I'm going to write the minute time, the minute hour, and I'm going to point towards the 9. So 5:45 is 5:45. Okay? Here's our next review question. It says, write the times. Then write how much time has passed. So now we're talking about elapsed time. So first of all, my hour hand is pointing to the 11. The minute hand is pointing to the 12, so I know that's o'clock. So I'm going to write that as 11 o'clock. Okay, on this one, it says it's pointing to the 1, and the minute hand's pointing to the 12, which I remember is o'clock. So now the time is 1 o'clock. And because it changed from AM, or morning time, to PM, which is afternoon time, I know that it's gone past 12 o'clock. It is now past noon. So it's not going to be a lot of hours. I know if I were to make the bumps are not going to go all the way around the clock, correct? So it's just going to be a short amount of time. But let's go ahead and put our dot at 11 because we're starting there. And then I know I'm ending at 1, so I'm going to put a dot there. And I'm going to draw my little loop to count each hour. And then I'm going to go back and count how many loops I have, and I have 2. So the total elapsed time is 2 hours. Remember, I kind of did this ahead of time, but we're thinking about what is logical, right? If I ended up with the answer of 12 or 24 or something like that, that isn't logical because we know it's just a short amount of time. Okay, on this bottom question here, it has reading time off a table. We're going to talk a bit about that because that is something that's going to be coming up on your test. It says, how long will the class be reading? So it looks like reading time is 9 o'clock and then writing time starts at 11. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a subtraction problem. There aren't any minutes involved at all, but I know when I'm doing the subtraction problem, I know that the bigger number has to come on top. So I'm going to put the ending time on top, and I'm going to put the start time on the bottom. So I'm going to write it over here, 11, take away 9. So 0 take away 0, that's nothing. 11 take away 9 is 2. And remember, we said we're not going to bring down the dots and the zeros. We're just going to write HRS because the answer is 2 hours. So there are 2 hours of reading time. That sounds good. Although sometimes I think you should do more. Now the question is, how do you know? And what I can say is I subtracted start time from end time. And that would be really an explanation for what I did to figure out how I knew. Okay, so this page is not too bad. It's not very thorough in terms of a review. That's why I have some extra slides on here. We still have some videos for elapsed time. So you want to make sure that you do watch those. Either go on the PowerPoint and click on the video that's embedded in there. I will make sure it gets on the playlist for you. Okay, this is the last page of the chapter. It's page 386. It starts talking about money. I'm going to go through these ones. Actually, I'm going to go through the first 3 extremely quickly because some of them we haven't even really talked about that much. So right here it says which set shows the fewest coins with this value. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but the value is 75 cents. They gave me a big hint when they said fewest coins. So all I have to do is glance at this and say, that's a lot of coins. That's a lot of coins. These two, both these answers, only have 2 coins. So I'm not even going to count that because no matter what, that's not going to be the right answer. So then I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to say that's a quarter and that's a quarter. And what I know is 2 quarters makes 50 cents. Doesn't sound like the right answer because I'm looking for 75 cents. This is a $50 and a quarter, and that does add up to 75 cents. So that is correct. Okay, what shape is the blue face? Now, when I looked at this the first time I saw this, I said, hey, I know that shape. That's a cylinder. But then I looked here and I said, wait a second. There's no cylinder here. What's going on? Here's why. They're only asking you about that shape right there. And you learned that one in first grade and probably kindergarten. So the answer is the blue face is a circle. Now I think I told you before that next week we're going to be studying fractions. We'll give you a little bit of a hint-ski here on what fractions are about. It says, what fraction does the shaded part show? Well, I count every single slice of the pie here, and I'm going to start from the shaded part so that when I get to the shaded part, I'll know that I'm done. That's actually pretty important. You're going to learn about that next week. What I used to do when I was teaching in the upper grades, I'd say put a dot. Put a dot where you're starting, because that way you won't forget and then lose count because you don't remember where you started. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know that this fraction involves eighths. There's the eighths. This one is ninths, this one is sevenths and fifths. So it's eighths, and only one piece of pie is shaded. So I know that the answer is 1/8. So I'm going to bubble in that. Okay. Last one, and this is a pretty good question because it has that word before in it. Which clock shows 30 minutes before 5? So I'm going to underline the word before, and then I'm going to think about the fact that if it's saying before 5, then it's not 5 o'clock yet. And then I'm going to think about what number comes before 5. Well, here's 5. If I put my thumb down, 4. So I know that the answer is 4 something. And then I'm going to go back and look at the minutes. It's 30 minutes before 5. Well, I remember that there are 2 sets of 30 minutes in an hour. So the answer of what time it is 4:30. Now I just need to find which one of these clocks matches 4:30. What I'm going to think about first is that the minute hand needs to be pointing to the 6. Because when the minute hand points at the 6, I know that's 30 minutes. And then I'm going to remember that the minute hand is longer. On our curriculum, the minute hand is skinnier. So let's see. Oh, you know what? The minute hand isn't pointing to the 6. So that couldn't be the answer. You know what? The minute hand now is pointing to the 7. That can't be it either. Wow, this really looks like this is probably the right answer, but I'm going to check this one as well. Okay, the minute hand's pointing at the 11. I don't think so. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say, okay, the minute hand is pointing at the 6, so I know that's 30. And then the hour hand is pointing in between 4 and 5. It's not quite 5 o'clock yet. So this is my answer. Okay, so that's our final review. But don't take the test yet, please. We're going to do a couple more problems. Okay, this is just to review. because I want to talk about what we just talked about in terms of the word past and before, because that's really important. And one of the things I like about this slide is it reteaches everything that we were talking about. It says 15 minutes after 7 means the hour is 7 and the minutes are 15. If it says 30 minutes after 7, it means the hour is 7 and the minutes are 30. Right here, 45 minutes after 7 means the hour is 7 and the minutes are 45. So basically what they're saying is, just like we learned yesterday about elapsed time and you could count by hours and do those bumps, well, they did the same thing, only they counted by sets of 5 minutes. So you can do that as well. Okay, so it starts out with 3. So if it was 3 o'clock, it would look like that. I remember that a quarter of an hour is 15 minutes. So I'm going to count like this. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So then I know that my minute hand needs to be pointing at the 3. And the hour hand is kind of really close to pointing at the 3, but like that's the best it can work. So that's my answer right there. I'm going to draw this, and then I'm going to draw this. Okay, so those hands are really close together, but the answer is 3:15. Because I counted 3 bumps, and each bump is 5 minutes. Okay, then this says 4:45. So remember, when you have that word 2, it means it's not 5 o'clock yet. So I have to look at what time is it, and it's before 5. So that means it's 4 o'clock. So I'm going to write that down right here. So it's in the danger zone, but it's like that right now. Okay? And then I'm going to say, well, did I do that right? Let's see. I'm going to count 15 minutes till the o'clock sign, right? So that looks right. It's 15 minutes and then it'll be 5 o'clock. So that's 1/4 to 5. And then I'm going to remember that 9 times 5 is 45. So I'm going to go ... 45. Okay. We're going to do this one 6:15, and then we're going to move on. So if it was 6 o'clock, right, and then it was 1/4, I'm going to remember that 15 minutes is 1/4. So 6 o'clock would have been here with the minute hand, right? So then I'm going to count 15 minutes. 5, 10, 15. Okay, that means that's there. This has actually moved a little bit. So it looks like it should be 6:15. So I'm going to write that there, 6:15. And I'm going to duplicate this. Oh, a little too long. And I'm just going to write that like that. And there's my minute hand. Okay? So that's just a little review about what 1/4 of an hour is. And remember, 1/4 of an hour is 15 minutes. Okay, let's see what the next slide is about. Okay. We really need to talk about elapsed time when you have a chart. Because remember I told you on the test, you're going to have one chart and you're going to have 3 separate questions all dealing with that one chart. And one of the things that just happens to be true is that they're going to have some of your questions are going to ask you elapsed time that is not hours, it's minutes. So we have to get used to that. We have to get ready for that. So it says right here, how many chores did Reg do? What are they? We're not going to go over that. Now you look at the chart. He did 4 different chores: clean the attic, wash the dog, fold laundry, set the table. I hope you guys are doing chores. But we are going to go down to this question 2, because this is very similar to the question you're going to have on the test. It says, how can you find out which chore took the most time? The only way for you to figure that out is by figuring the elapsed time of each one of these chores. So the first one is 12:30 to 2. So we're going to go 12, nope, I have this wrong. 12:30, and then it's going to go to 2 o'clock. Notice that that's not complete hours, right? So we're going to have to count, first of all, we're going to count up from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, because that's the next hour. So we're going to count minutes. So that's 5, 10, 15, I'm doing it wrong. 5, 10, 15, no, I'm doing it right. 20, 25, 30. So now that would be 1 o'clock. So basically, for this chore, it's not 1 o'clock because it ends at 2 o'clock, right? So, but we do have 30 minutes, right? And then we have to go from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Now, on something like that, we're not going to do the bumps because I can very easily subtract. The end time is 2 o'clock. The start time is 1 o'clock. So these are whole hours. How much time has gone by? 2 o'clock, subtract 1 o'clock. 2 take away 1 is 1. So basically, the answer to the first one is 1 hour, 30 minutes. Okay, the next one, it starts at 2:15. So it looks like he got a little bit of a break. 2:15, and that's going to go to 3 o'clock. 2:15 to 3 o'clock. So that's not a whole hour. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to count minutes. Starts at 2:15, right? So I'm going to put a dot here, and then it ends at 12 o'clock. Not 12. It's going to be 3 o'clock, but the minute hand is going to be on the 12. So now I'm going to count, skip count by 5, and see how many minutes it is. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So it looks like washing the dog, he has planned for that to take 45 minutes, right? Because we're done. The end time is 3 o'clock. So the end time would look like this and like that. Okay, so we didn't go all the way around the clock. We went only 3/4 of the way around the clock. Okay, and we figured out that that's 45 minutes. Okay, folding the laundry. Folding the laundry is going to be an easy one. Let me show you why. We are going to go all the way around the clock because he's starting at 3:30 and he's ending at 4:30. We could do that as a subtraction problem, okay? So we put the end time on top. We put the start time on the bottom. And we subtract. 0 take away 0 is 0. 3 take away 3 is also 0. So we end up with 2 zeros there. So that's fine. And then what's 4 take away 3? 1. So that activity only took 1 hour. If the minutes on the start time is the same as the minutes on the end time, then you're really just subtracting the hours. Okay? Last, 6:15 to 6:30. So let me see what that looks like. So there's 6 o'clock. There's 6:15. So I'm going to put a dot at my start time. And let's see, 6:30 is going to look like that. So I'm going to put a dot at my end time. And I'm going to skip count by fives and count sets of 5 minutes. Here we go. 5, 10, 15. That's it. 15 minutes setting the table. And you know what? That would be him setting the table pretty slow. So that one is only 15 minutes. There's no hour that goes with it at all. Okay, so now I can answer the question. The question was, which chore takes the longest amount of time? So the first chore was 1 hour and 30 minutes. The second chore was 45 minutes. Third chore was 1 hour. And the fourth chore is only 15 minutes. So it looks like the very first chore of cleaning the attic took the most time. And that's kind of logical. That makes sense. Okay? So I hope that was good review practice. If we want to skip count and count minutes, that is entirely possible. And it's not difficult, even if you're using a chart. You just look at each line separately, and you keep in mind that that's the start time, that's the end time. Okay, so let's look at the next slide. Okay, this gives a lot of clocks. And if you want to try to do all of them on your PowerPoint, that's fine. I'm only going to do a couple because I want to talk about past and I want to talk again about 2. So we're only going to do 3 and 7. So this one says 7:45. And remember, those are the vocab words past, to, before, after. Those are really important. So 1:45, I'm going to underline 2, and I'm going to think about the fact it's not 7 o'clock yet. So I'm going to say, okay, what number comes before 7? Well, here's 7, so I'm going to take one finger and put it down. So what comes before 7? 6. So I know the time is 6 something. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw my hour hand that is pointing almost to the 7. And then I know it's 7:45. I know that a quarter of an hour is 15 minutes. So I'm going to look at what 7 o'clock would be, and I'm going to count back by 15 minutes. Ready? If it was o'clock, it would be on the 12. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, that means that the minute hand is going to be on the 9. Right? And then I know, once again, 9 times 5 is 45. So the time right there is 6:45. Here it says 10 o'clock. So that means it's after 10 o'clock. So I know that the hour is going to be 10 o'clock. But I want to figure out what are the minutes, right? So I know it's a quarter of an hour. So I'm going to draw the clock face. The hour hand is shorter. And then if it was 10 o'clock straight up, then the minute hand would be on the 12. So I'm going to start from the 12, and I'm going to count 15 minutes. 5, 10, 15. Okay, so that's where my minute hand is going to be. And then I remember that 3 times 5 is 15. 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour. So my time, 10:15, is 10:15. So I hope that was good review for you. Like I say, you can do more of these because you're going to get the PowerPoint and you can take a look at it and try to figure some other ones out. We're not going to do all of them. You can even print the PowerPoint and then you could do all of them. Okay, so now's the time. Go ahead and take math test number 19. Make sure you put your name on your paper. Make sure that you do every single page. You might want to have an adult or a sibling, an older brother or sister or something. Look at every single page and make sure you didn't skip something. Okay, I hope you have a great Monday evening, and we're going to move on to fractions tomorrow. Okay, God bless you.